Namaste. I am COVID free now, a corona disease survivor. 8 of our 10-member joint family were COVID infected, and the youngest of our brothers, Achyutarao, succumbed to the disease. Dear to family members, acquaintances, not only to the family members and acquaintances, but to many, particularly children in two Telugu speaking states. He vowed to struggle for protecting the child rights till he breathed his last. And no exaggeration, he kept it. I am not giving those details what he did towards the end of his life. When we were tested positive, the challenge was not COVID disease per se, but what we felt. How to deal with the disease in the background of the poor healthcare system in the country. Yes, our fears came true. Our experience has shown how poor the healthcare system was. It was not an easy task to get into a hospital when two of my brothers, including the deceased one, developed acute symptoms, critical condition requiring hospitalization. It was not as if that you can call a number, an ambulance comes to our doorsteps and they are taken to the hospital and admitted. No, that is not our healthcare system. It was a tough task finding a good hospital which will take you in and give you treatment, proper treatment. So I am not giving those details again here, the ordeal at the hospital. A tough time indeed. Somehow we got admitted, both my brothers, into a corporate hospital, two facilities of the same hospital. Okay, I am not going to give you the ordeal at the hospital, what kind of treatment we received, what experiences, what difficulties we faced. The treatment cost was also astronomical, I should say, from a middle class person's standard. For the one who deceased, who stayed in the hospital critical care for 7 days, the cost was 10,01,097 rupees 32 paisa. The hospital was generous to give us a rebate of 1,097 rupees 32 paisa. So the net 10 lakh rupees was the cost for 7 days stay. For my other brother, it was 3 days, including 1 day critical care unit, and the cost was 4.4 lakh rupees. Anyway, leaving this hospital experience, I want to give a brief account of how we, the rest of the family members, 6 of us, faced the disease. Of course, each individual had different types of symptoms, and I will give my example what I did, how I got the disease. My symptoms were milder. That was one reason why I didn't attempt to go to a hospital. The fear of the inhospitable conditions at the hospital and the environment there restrained me from going to a hospital. So all 6 of us were treated at home. Now, how it started to me. One day, one midnight, I got fever, chills, and shaking. When I checked my fever, it was 102 degrees. And then next day, all of us went for a rapid coronavirus test, and we were positive. Fever continued for another 8 days. I had sore throat on the second day. It was mild. But following day, it was so horrible that I couldn't even swallow water. That bad was the sore throat. On day 3, it started receding, and it was totally gone on day 4. The medicines that my doctor prescribed to me, azithromycin 500, Dolo 650, Levocetium, vitamin C, Zincovit, Flovir, Fabiflu, Nexpro, vitamin D3 60K. And the temperature persisting on 5th day, my doctor gave me dexamethasone 6 mg day. I had a little nausea, Of course, one clove settled that problem. So after that, as problem still continued, the doctor gave me a 5 days course of steroids, methylprednisolone, starting with 40 milligrams a day and tapering it off slowly. And on fifth day, it was 8 milligrams. And I had been on Ecosprin AV75, which contains aspirin that was required for this disease, for my condition. So doctor suggested me to continue with that. As for my diet, I ate plenty of fruit, consumed vegetables, curds, 1 egg a day, then a lot of lemon, drank lukewarm water, a bit above room temperature or room temperature, not warm water or cold water. My daughter, who lives nearby, supplied food to all of us because none of us in the house was able to cook the food. She used to give us breakfast in the morning, lunch, dinner and evening snack every day during the time of our ailment and convalescence. It was a tough job for her, but she enjoyed helping us. The other things I did was steam inhalation for first few days, then regularly checking my oxygen saturation level. Never did it go below 90, and it was around 95 other times. No, these things I do not suggest to others because the symptoms differ and individual treatment also might differ. But I am telling you for my conditions. But one thing, you have to listen to your doctor and follow strictly whatever they suggest you. Just follow the doctor's advice and maintain that physical distance. I hate to call it social distance. What we need during this bad times is social cohesion, physical distancing. Follow that. And then wear mask. Suspect every other person in the world has corona disease and want to keep off. Prevention is better than the cure. More than all this, do not panic. Do not panic. You can overcome. Then reverting to the healthcare system in the country. The government hospitals are not equipped to deal with this. They do not evoke the trust of the people. Why ordinary people? Even those senior functionaries in the government, including the ministers, are avoiding the government hospitals. In general, they are going to the private hospitals. So how can the ordinary people trust the government hospitals? Here in this, I am not giving the details of the conditions prevailing in the government hospitals. But you can't go to the government hospital and they are not adequate. They are not able to meet the requirement of the people because of the healthcare system that we have developed. And the private hospitals are private, they are commercial. Their goal is profit, and this is an opportunity to make more profit. So the macro factors also suggest the conditions on the ground. How much does the government spend on healthcare sector? It is 1% of the GDP in India against the 6% average across the globe. What the expert committees like Srinath Reddy Commission, Planning Commission suggested, at least 2.5 to 3% of the GDP. That's not being spent. The state and central government together are spending around 1% of the GDP on the healthcare sector. With this poor spending and neglect, the healthcare system is in such a bad state as we are experiencing. The facts and figures amply evidence the state of affairs. The National Sample Survey 71st survey, what it found? 72% of the rural and 79% of urban spells of ailments are treated in the private sector, which means people have to pay money out of their pockets for their treatment. Then 86% of rural and 82% of urban population are not covered under any scheme supported by the government, despite high claims that the government has been helping the people. What is the doctor population ratio? As per World Health Organization, it should be 1:1000. That means there must be one doctor available for 1000 people in the country. But what is in reality? In India, there is one allopathic doctor for 10,926 persons. There is a shortage of as many as 6 lakh doctors in the country. And there is a shortage of 20 lakh nurses in the country. So with this state of affairs, it is difficult for the healthcare system to meet the requirements of the people during the ordinary times. Then when this catastrophic disease, this pandemic arriving, how can we expect the healthcare system to meet the challenge? As we see, every year 3.5 crore people fall below poverty line. We know that the poor people are not able to access the corporate hospitals. But those who are not poor, because of the healthcare costs in the country, every year those who are above poverty line, 3.5 crore among them are falling below poverty line. Because of the poor healthcare system, unethical practices, and due to the government's indifference. That is why, as the Institute of Health Metrics and Evaluation, IHME, found, India ranks in the healthcare 158 in 195 countries. This being the background, the schemes of the government which do not go to the roots of the problems, the commercialization, and strengthening the schemes, insurance-based schemes, they are not helping. Neither the PM Jan Arogya Yojana Ayushman Bharat, PMJ Ayushman Bharat, nor the recent effort of National Health ID, which is going to be a repository of the health-related information of the individuals. I don't know how these are going to help the situation. If there is information about the health of each individual, that might help an insurance company to insure or not to insure or charge high or more. But that is not going to help unless, maybe these things are essential, but they will be useful only when the healthcare system is strengthened in such a way that it doesn't involve commercial interest. Otherwise, these measures are going to be counterproductive. Let's hope the present and future governments learn lessons from COVID experience and the healthcare system's inadequacies and failures, and will revamp the healthcare system thoroughly, overhauling it, bring in a universal healthcare system without any commercial interest to tell it at the cost of reputation. Thank you for watching this. If you have not subscribed to this channel so far, please do subscribe. Click on that subscribe button below. After that, please click on the bell icon alongside to get the notifications as and when I upload a new video to this. Thank you.